Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And I'm back because people are probably thinking, why is it that I'm gone silent after being so vocal about what's going on in Pakistan? Once again, I think I would say that I'm silent because all the so-called legal proceedings that have been going on, proving Imran Khan innocent, proving him that, right, proving that he should be released, blah, 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 is again on paper. And as I said before, I cannot comment on such proceedings because such proceedings are just, they are following due protocols, they're following their formal procedures. But what's the outcome? Physical outcome is what matters. And we all know that. So, saying, oh, he's earned another victory. These are victories he's bound to earn. Okay, I've repeated myself like a zillion times. These are victories he's bound to earn. I don't see him getting released physically. Okay. Same as for Sanam Javed again. She's supposed to have been released. Why is she still in jail? What the frack? You know that your country has officially been taken over by foreign elements, by foreign entities. You know that Pakistan is being piloted, really, by America, by the American establishment. You know that your own establishment is made up of traitors. You know that there are two factions within your establishment that are fighting each other. You know who's got the upper hand. You know that we, our own people, are responsible for the outcome. Why? Because silence. To me, it's very important to understand why cliches are cliches. Cliches are cliches because they're never wrong. It's not that that they're actually essentially they can be wrong. It's the application. It's where you apply those cliches is where it can go wrong. But the cliches themselves, if applied correctly to the correct context, they're never wrong. And here we have it. So we have the fact that in Pakistan, at the moment where we stand, we're a banana republic. This is something that America worked for over a century at least. This is something that it closely worked on since Zardari was made president, if you remember. So, basically handling the Pakistani establishment, handling the assets within the establishment and the army, handling the assets within the politicians and the bureaucrats. I mean, that is what America has been closely working on. And this was even during Obama's tenure. This is something that I've remarked on, when Obama and his wife came to Pakistan and they suddenly started talking to Maryam Nawaz as if it was very obvious that nobody else but her should lead. Why? Again, let me ask that question that I've asked 1,000 times. Her mother brought Pakistan with her in her dowry. Is that what they're trying to, is that the narrative here? Because Maryam Nawaz, as we can see right now, is doing nothing but photo shoots, which once again, it creates doubts in my mind as to her, genes and her parentage, because I'm really beginning to wonder if she's actually Nawaz Sharif's daughter or if she's Shehbaz Sharif's daughter, because she seems to be following closely in Shehbaz Sharif's footsteps. That need, that craving for TikToking, for being on social media, for posing in front of the camera. You see that. But actually, essentially, that is again because she is just a face. She's just a face, put in front for the again, for the army, and in turn for the Americans. So she doesn't have anything to do. There's nothing for her to do. That's why she's got a lot of time on her hands. And that is why she's just going around, taking photo sessions, pretending that she's all over the place, pretending that she knows what's what she doesn't know jack shit. I mean, she's the woman who broke down the original boundary wall of the Secretariat on Mall Road, Lahore, just so that she could put her own family's manufactured, iron and create an iron fence, so that she can have a fountain view from the space that she's declared her own. I mean, so imagine what she's doing. She's that person who again spent millions just on her car and her tires. And this is again not her father's money. This is our money. And then IMF keeps on saying, oh, you know what? Suck the blood out of everybody. Suck the blood out of the people who are already paying taxes. First of all, most of the people are now practically unemployed. Thank you very much. And we are unemployed because of the crisis over here that you people have just caused. The crisis that you've caused, in which traders cannot trade, in which manufacturers cannot manufacture, in which once again now Maryam Nawaz has put her son into the solar business, as if Shahbaz Sharif putting his son into the poultry business wasn't enough. Now Maryam Nawaz puts her son into the solar panel business so that, he should monopolize the whole solar industry. Again, who at the end is going to reap the benefits of every single thing that comes up in Pakistan? It's them. It's the Sharif family and it's the Zardari family and their minions and touts. And then again, why would anybody care that Pakistan is imploding or exploding? As I said, the fault lies with our own people, because silence is compliance. Why is it that PTI workers, and why is it that generally the citizens of Sindh, KPK, Balochistan, Kashmir, and GB were not as such disturbed? They were not attacked, they were not assaulted, they were not kidnapped, they were not killed the way those in Punjab have been and still are being attacked, assaulted, raided, kidnapped, and killed, and illegally jailed. Why? Why is it that it's all happening in Punjab? That is a crucial question here. And this is a question that has been raised by now quite a few, I think, up till now. I remember Dr. Shabazz Gill raising that question at one point. So what I'm trying to, ask here is, what the hell are the people of Punjab doing? You always talk about, हम जट हैं तो हम ईराई हैं तो हम ये हैं तो हम वो, वड़ गया तुम लोगों के सारे जट तो ईराई. You are nothing. You're absolute rubbish. You are so stupid, so cowardly, you're so lazy, you're so shameless that you can't even rise to the occasion and do something. So much for your caste, so much for your tribes, so much for your families. I mean, you people at the end of the day are nothing but trash. At the end of the day, you're nothing but powerless pieces of trash to the system that you couldn't even rise up for your own rights. That is why, I mean, come on, in Islam and in our law, not just in the Sharia law, which is being implemented all over the world, but also in the law implemented in Pakistan, you have the right to defend your privacy, you have the right to defend your property. If anybody trespasses into your property, even if it is somebody from the law enforcement, if they have trespassed into your property, if there is no legal reason for them to do so, you are allowed to defend yourself and your property. You are allowed to attack them. Why don't you attack them? If you had actually attacked these people from day one, if you had actually made it, if you had made it the norm, if you'd made it your culture that whoever enters your home like that, no matter if they're from the police, and no matter if they're from the army, it doesn't matter if they're from the intelligence, it doesn't matter who they are, as long as they've trespassed, you shoot them. Just shoot them. If you had started this practice right off the bat, things wouldn't be so bad as they are now. And the reason I'm getting really riled up about it right now again is that once again people are being kidnapped, once again people are being raided, once again people's homes have been barged into, once again fellow friends, acquaintances, people in the PTI political party members, and people who are not even in PTI, but they're just journalists trying to do their work. Their homes are once again being barged into. They are once again their families are being threatened once again. I mean, what do you get out of it? What do you get out of threatening them anyway? I mean, we have had so many dictatorships. Why we never really cared, despite the fact that each dictatorship actually proved to be more harmful, than the past in so many ways. But you know what? Those dictators were 1,000 times better than what we have today, which is a cowardly showcase of dictatorship. Cowardly because you're hiding behind civilians. You're hiding behind puppets that are placed by your masters, your owners, the American establishment, right? And so how cowardly of you that you do not even have the guts to claim that dictatorship openly. Better than you were those dictators who just came and they openly claimed themselves to be dictators, and they did a better job than you did. There were no killings, there were no kidnappings. They faced criticism like men, or at least like how we expect men to, but actually they faced criticism like how women do, which is the way you criticize women and they face it stoically. And I would say maybe you are right now facing criticism like a man, which is more or less like how you would define it, like a khusra. Okay, this is what I would say, because why, if you look at it practically, nobody can handle criticism like a woman. And men, they do not know how to handle criticism. They are worse. They are absolutely worse than your fellow khusres. Okay? So, yeah, I would say that you are truly handling it like a man, yes. And those before you, they handled it like women. They handled it magnificently. They never said a word to those people who criticized them. All those journalists, all those critical analysts, all those other fellow politicians, who walked out on them, who, stood as opposition against them, those who talked openly, criticized openly, and nothing happened. And yet now, while you are cowardly standing behind a pseudo civil government, you still can't take it. You can't take criticism. You're acting like those weird ass men, who just can't take it. You just know how to dish it, but you don't know how to take it. Those wife beaters who cannot face other people who are more powerful than them, so they take it all out on their wives. You're acting exactly like those kind of men. So how cowardly, how cowardly. Be those kind of people who you claim to be. Step forward and openly admit it. Openly admitted that you are traitors that have been planted, that there is no future for Pakistan, nobody should expect anything, and that at the end of the day, what America says goes. Just say it. Say it out loud so that people can prepare for the future. Why do you have to lie like cowards? Again, obviously, desis, they lie as they breathe. I have yet to see a desi who's honest. Any desi who's honest cannot live in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh. Those are the people who just cannot fit in. So the typical desis are those who just have to lie their way in, and then they lie their way out, and they're absolutely so dishonest. It's no miracle. This is something I've been saying for quite some time, especially when you started allowing terrorist activities, on your soil. When the Chinese engineers, when the Chinese workers, when the Chinese specialists working on CPEC development, when they were being attacked, your lack of commitment in that all, that was so obvious. What did you think? Did you actually think that you would suddenly follow America's orders and you would disregard China, and then when you would suddenly see your desperate situation, you would now want to make it up with China? I'm sorry, China is not a fool. China has only regarded Pakistan as one of its closest friends because, number one, our borders are important to each other. Our safety means China's safety. China's safety means our safety. It's as simple as that. Anybody who tries to deny it is a fool. And if China is now going to be forced to make a choice, I'm telling you, the choice will not be pro-Pakistan. This is something which I also said about Iran. You try to create another problem for Iran, and Iran is going to forget all your brotherhood and all your borderly ties and everything, and Iran is just going to blow you off the face of the earth. Amen to that on the side, but still, that's exactly what you would be calling for. That is what you're courting. You're courting your own demise. When you betray your true allies, on the say-so of a country, an establishment that has no interest in your national interest, then you really need to you really need to go configure your brains. You need to find out how mentally insane you are. To what degree are you demented enough that for just a short span of benefit, that won't even last you long, for just that short span, you're actually ready to blow up your whole future and the future of your fellow countrymen. I mean, imagine that for your self interest, you have screwed your country time and again. You've screwed your politicians that worked for this country. You've screwed the people of this country who are your actual masters, right? You've bit them again and again for your own personal interest. Why? Again, because historically you are traitors. You are historically traitors that were planted in, and you think that you're doing your job loyally. But you know what? You really need to rethink. You really need to rethink what loyalty is, where your bloodlines lie. Because if this is the case, then, one would understand why kings used to kill off the whole bloodline of traitors, and people like me would be forced to say it out loud that yes, traitors, all the traitors in Pakistan, their whole bloodline needs to be wiped off, absolutely wiped out of the face of the earth. Okay, because this is the only way to cleanse this country. This country was hijacked by traitors, and now it's their descendants that continue to take this country hostage. The true people behind Pakistan, the true patriots, they're either dead or they're gone. Majority of the people in Pakistan, I'm sorry to say, they are not patriots, contrary to this popular belief. It's just a myth. Okay, the true patriots are not here. Because if really we had true patriots, we wouldn't be sitting in this mess that we are. We would have smacked them back to oblivion right from the very first day that they started to encroach upon our life, right from the day when they decided to cross that line. If you remember, Qaid-e-Azam had already warned them to stay on their side of the line. And after he was killed, after Liaquat Ali Khan was killed, after Bhutto was killed, after that, you just got a straight line of all those people who just, just worked with the traitors, and they themselves are traitors, and their whole families have sold their souls to the foreign entities that benefit them. And again, I would ask, how long is that benefit? Because again, I would also, this is a concern that I raised the last time when I said that don't think that Iran and China are going to continue tolerating you, or that they're going to remember brotherhood, or they're going to remember friendship, or they're going to remember loyalty, because Pakistan is always the first one to break it off. Pakistan has always been unreliable. It's a miracle that China is even tolerating Pakistan, to be honest. And I think that it is extremely shameless of the army to now suddenly go and, try to pretend as if he's China's best friend, when this is the same army that failed the CPEC program deliberately. They, as per American orders, failed to provide funding for the CPEC project, and then they failed in their commitment to protect the Chinese workers. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, the army has proved that it is not reliable, that it's not trustworthy. The only reason, like it or not, but the only reason Pakistan gained trust globally was Imran Khan, and it will always be Imran Khan. And even after him, no matter who comes, they will never be able to gain that trust that Imran Khan did in that very short span of time. And that is because people are not fools. People know what's what, and they know who's who. And I think it's time for the Pakistani people to really wake up and to smell the roses, okay? Because you really, really need to get off your asses. And just protesting on the streets, yeah, I'm sorry. Again, I will say that is not going to fly. That is definitely not going to fly. We need to physically revolt and rebel against these people. I'm sorry, but I think that it shows their desperation. It already shows their weakness. The fact that they're hounding their own people, the fact that they are, acting as if they've gone mad, as if they're headless chickens. They're just roaming all over the place. They're just kidnapping whoever they like, and they think that they're not digging fear into anybody. If anything, they're exposing, as I said before, they're exposing their own fear. And we need to take advantage of that, and we need to put them down, because dogs that bite their masters really need to be put down. Okay? And they have bitten us too many times to count. And the fact that we let them go each time is what has made them so rabid, that they think that they can actually, they don't even have a policy. So how can I even talk about their foreign policy and how it's being dictated by America? Because they don't even have a foreign policy. Forget foreign policy, they don't even have a national policy. They don't even have a regional policy. I mean, they're just flying blind, you know. They have no clue as to what is going on. They think they do, but they have no clue. They're just blindly following orders, and they're moving accordingly with regards. I mean, and they have no idea as to the consequences, it seems, of their acts. Because, I mean, as we know, Pakistanis have a history. Pakistanis and Indians and Bangladeshis in general, they have a history where they never want to take responsibility, for their actions. They never want to bear the consequences of their decisions. But you know what? Ultimately, you will have to. You will have to. You cannot keep on running away from this. Our own people also, we need to stand up. We need to stop turning a blind eye. We need to stop grumbling at home. We need to stop protesting in the streets. We need to just out and out deal with them physically and put them back in their place. Heads need to roll. I'm sorry, but the fact that this whole world has come to where it is today, where you see what's going on in Palestine, you see what's going on in Syria, you see what's going on in Kashmir, you see what's going on all over the world, it is simply because of that one exploitation of that word mercy. In the name of mercy, perps have gotten away with murder. They've gotten away with genocide. They've gotten away with everything. It has come to this, that is now on a global level, because in the name of mercy, we have forced victims to forego justice on individual levels, which became familial levels, which became societal levels, which became cultural levels, which became regional levels, which became continental levels, after being national levels, and now they're on a global level. Okay, this is again something I've talked about. I talked about a very, very long time ago, how every single thing stems from within an individual family. It stems from home. Every bit that becomes global, everything that becomes cultural, it stems from home. And this is one of those things. Victim bashing, telling people who you've hurt that they have no right to tell you about how hurt they are, bashing the victim for allowing you to make him a victim, then bashing him for not allowing you to make him a victim, bashing them for standing up for their rights, bashing them for not standing up for their rights, and then forcing them to always let the perp go in the name of mercy. The word mercy has been abused so many times, and people think that they're being people are so self-righteous. This is where you would use the word self-righteous, is where people in the name of mercy decided to forego capital punishment. Where there is no punishment, crime will be rampant. Okay? Where there is strict punishment, people can be kept in check. In the name of mercy, you have made crime rampant. In the name of mercy, in the name of justifying the perp, you have made genocide the norm. You are the people, every single one of us, all of us who have been telling people on an individual level, and then on a global level, on a national level, on a cultural level, on a societal level, on a familial level, all of us are complicit in these global crimes, in these political crimes, in these war crimes, because we at home created victims and we told them this is how the world is. And then on the outer side, where justice is supposed to prevail, we once again cornered victims and we forced them to forego justice. We kept on pushing our brand of justice in the name of mercy. We kept letting the powerful walk all over the weak. We sometimes even let the weak walk all over the powerful. So everybody has been given privileges. So the consequences that people had to bear fair and square, that was taken away. And so it's no longer part of the world system. And this is why America and Britain and Europe, their allies, they're so openly committing genocide. And this is why the American people have failed yet again. They failed in Vietnam, they failed in Cambodia, they failed in Iraq, they failed in Korea, even, actually, believe it or not. They actually failed in every single one of these so-called projects in which they were hoping to, you know, take over different countries, or in which they were hoping to subdue different countries that did not agree with them. They were hoping that they could steal from those countries. They were hoping that, they could be justified in attacking those countries. Every single time the American public failed to stop their government from committing those atrocities. And once again, the American public, like the Pakistani public, are doing the most useless protests ever on the streets. Do you think your government actually gives you importance? Your government has been pretending to give you importance, but they don't really care. Okay, at the end, as far as their goal is right in front of them, they don't care what you want or do not want. You, the people of America, do not matter to the American establishment. Okay, the people of Britain do not matter to the British establishment. The people, in the rest of Europe, in France, in Spain, in Italy, they don't matter. The people in Pakistan don't matter to the establishment. Okay, these are a band of thieves, a band of corrupt, demented, insane, sadistic thieves that have gotten together in order to think, in order to play God. The only way to stop such people is by force, not through legal means, not through vocal means, not through protests, but you have to physically stop them. Keep that in mind. Okay, I mean, look at even India. India is now stuck in that rut where for a third time Modi is in power. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about India, the supposed alleged democracy? Just think about that. India is in no better state than Pakistan or Bangladesh. It's just that it's always been given the illusion, as I told you before, think of India as the errand boy of the group of bullies. And you will understand it all. So, this is all I have to say at this point. I think in this heat, in this critical, suffocating climate that we've got, where people are already boiling because of this heat. People are collapsing, people are fainting, people are dying, people are getting heat stroke. People are just boiling all up with rage and with the heat, and something's got to give, really. Something's got to go, something's got to give. And I'm sorry, but the American public, the Pakistani public are no different from each other, the British public. None of us are different from each other in that we have always failed to put a stop to the atrocities that our governments and our establishments begin. Any project, any atrocious project that they go for, we have always failed to stop them. When the damage is done, when everything is done, then they're like, what can we do? We didn't know. That happened. Okay, fine, we apologize. And that's it. And that, again, is that brand of justice that we introduced into the modern civilization called mercy. Remember that next time you try to start another movement in which you would want another punishment to be removed from your judicial system. Just keep that in mind, because remember, everything in this world is connected. It's called a chain of consequences for a reason. Do not think for a moment that something very little that happens at home will not determine tomorrow's culture. because that is exactly what determines your society today. That is exactly what determines your culture tomorrow. That is exactly what determines your national civilization, your global civilization. And this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.